Megan Schomer, how are you?
Great. How are
Great.
you?
I'm doing well. Not as
Good.
good as your earrings, but I'm doing pretty
Thank
good.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Listen, you're the founder of Raise for Rare, right?
Yes.
I heard about you guys. Somebody sent me a thing like, "Hey, you should look into this nonprofit." Now, mind you, I get recommendations a lot, and I love every single one of them, but it's not always stuff that I'm like, "Oh, I'm just not that, like, I don't have time," or I'm just like, it's not pinging me.
Sure.
But when I dug into yours, I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." You offer community support for families with a medically fragile child. And this could be somebody with rare conditions. It could be a family in crisis. And what happens in those times, if anybody's ever experienced them, is like all bets are off. Like you don't care about anything except getting your kid the care the kid needs, taking care of, the rest of the members of the family. You don't care about your driveway. You don't care about groceries. You don't care about lawn care. You don't care about anything. And that's what you should do, right? But what I find beautiful about your program is that it tapped into the age-old wisdom that it's like, it takes a village.
Right.
And that's not just reprimanding kids and telling kids what's good and bad. That's helping lift up families that you're standing next to that are falling apart. And
Right.
I was like, God, yeah. So talk to me about that. How did you get into this?
Yeah. So Raise for Air started in 2017 after the loss of my medically fragile child. His name is Corwin, which means companion of the heart, because I didn't know how long I would have him, but I knew he would always be in my heart. I found out in utero that something was going on with his brain, but we didn't know what it was. So I was highly monitored. We didn't know if he'd be born just because of the complexity of his brain malformation. And when he was born, they still didn't know what he had, but he had seizures. And so immediately on that care path of taking care of him, ended up with an ICU in my house. He was total care. It took a couple of years to figure out what he had. Seattle Children's studied him. He was the only one alive with his condition. And the last time they had seen it was in 95. So very rare condition. One in billions, and total care. And what I found is that journey is so isolating. There are no charities that come to the home. When you go up to the hospital, you receive a lot of care and a lot of support, and a lot of charities show up at the hospital. But when you have a total care child, nobody comes to the home. And I really wanted to bring a change to that.
And when you talk about total care, this is like, hey, 24/7, nonstop. Not like everything will be cool with like a 12-year-old babysitter. Let me just step out. It's like, no. You need adult professional care from now forever.
Right. He needed a nursing level person, an RN level caregiver. It couldn't just be anyone. I had an ICU. So everything from seizure medications, oxygen, G-tube, and respiratory care, which is a lot of different things. There's a percussion vest he had to wear that shook his lungs because he never sat up or moved. And so fluid settles in your lungs. So this vest would shake his lungs and get that fluid moving. And then there was a machine called a cough assist, which forced air in and pulled air out, and oxygen. You just have to learn all of these things. So on top of the practical things you're talking about in the home, you're also now running an ICU, taking care of this child.
What happens when you have a kid like that? When you're caring for somebody like that?
Yeah, I mean, all those practical things kind of fall to the wayside. It's just not the priority. It's very hard on marriages and relationships. It's hard on the siblings. They're often referred to as glass children because they're somewhat invisible in their family dynamic. When you have a child that's every moment could be life or death, the other children, they're not neglected intentionally, but they miss out on things and they can't go do things. And they can't have friends over. I mean, the child's immune compromised. So you almost live in almost like COVID times all the time for these families. And so it's really isolating. You lose friends, you lose family. People get tired of caring about you.
God, when you talk about people getting tired, is it just like exhaustion from sympathy? Like, look, I feel really bad for you. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't hear from you. I can't be like your shoulder to crown anymore. Like my shirt's too wet.
Right. Yeah. It's empathy fatigue, which is a real thing. It's well studied.
I've never heard that phrase, empathy fatigue.
Yeah. And it's not malice or anything. It's just when they talk to you, it's kind of like sometimes it's rough. I mean, when he would get pneumonia, it was a month of just high level care 24/7, and that would trigger seizures. And at the time I had Corwin, they didn't have good seizure monitors. So I had to sleep with my arm on him just to feel if he was having a seizure or not. So I didn't get REM sleep for 5 years. And so it's really intense. And some people feel like there isn't anything they can do to help, but there are things you can do to help. And that's kind of what this organization does. But also I want to teach friends and family of these families that they can do is to show up. When you come over, do some dishes, do some laundry. Don't expect to be hosted. Just come over and take one thing off their plate, and it will make all the difference in their day.
When you talk about taking something off the plate, I remember, it's like when you have an infant.
Right? It's exactly like having an infant for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There was what is it like? My wife had this blog she followed. It was called like Scary Mommy or something. And people would write, little like articles about their experiences. And I remember one of them was just being really mad that family, like the auntie would come over, right? When this mom had this infant, and they're like, I need some snuggle time, all these things. And, initially, and, I'm sure you've gone through this, but initially when you have like an infant and you don't really know how to manage those people and their needs, because they're like, I need snuggle time. So they come over, and they're not coming over with 2 pizzas in hand. They're not coming over with their sleeves rolled up looking to clean your dishes. They're coming over with their needs. Expectations. And they want to have time, this intimate, like, close time with your baby, when you don't get that time with your baby.
Right.
Like there was no time when I have 3 boys, and my wife and I, really try to support each other. But even we knew, it was like, I don't get to go like snuggle with the kid for half an hour and just not worry about anything. How come she gets to do this?
Right.
And again, people coming with their needs. And the article was like, listen, if you are not ready to support me when you come over and needing something from me, don't come over.
Exactly.
Because you're not helping anybody.
Right.
So we always made sure whenever we'd go to visit friends, it's like, especially with infants, it's like, listen, go over, drop off food. And if you can get through dropping off food without even seeing anybody, so they don't even have to answer the door, that's the holy grail. But like if they caught you, it's like, go in, say hi, immediately load the dishwasher or unload it.
Exactly.
It's like those little things, and go really fast and then ditch. And people would be like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not here to be another person. I'm here to try to support
be that village, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and I had an uncle that was a really good example of this. When I would be up at the hospital, he would say, hey, Megan, would you like a salad or a sandwich for lunch? Which would imply he's coming up no matter what. He's bringing something no matter what. And it just took that burden off of me of my lunch is coming. Whereas when people say, let me know if you need anything, you shift the burden. Yeah. Right. So just find something, but be very practical in it, right? Like, I'm bringing you lunch. Do you want this or this? Implying you're showing up, implying you're bringing food, just so that that will relieve the burden, is when you just take over and show up.
So knowing that you guys are helping people that are not, I assume predominantly like related to you.
Right.
You're helping strangers. So what are the things that your organization can offer the community? Like, what are the practical things you guys do?
So the mission is to bring uplifting support, which can look different at different times. During COVID, we did food boxes of staple goods because our families couldn't get to the stores, right? So it shifts. But right now, which our primary services and have been for years, are house cleaning, lawn care, snow removal is a really big one. We also do support groups in our office. We do those 4 times a month because, again, that's so isolating, and to meet with other caregivers on the same journey. The journeys are very similar, but the feelings are the same. So even if they have different diagnoses, they're still going to the same children's hospital, seeing the same doctors, dealing with a lot of the same interventions of how did you get that G-tube to work, or what formula do you like, things like that.
So even if the diseases or ailments are different, it's like you're still going through the same medical equipment.
Exactly.
You're still going through the same sleepless nights, like we can have completely different be inflicted by different medical issues, but like still have like hand in hand.
Right. I mean, there's more than 8,000 rare diseases. So it could be one of those. It could be a combination of those. We have kids that have survived tragic accidents that make them rare in the sense they've survived something that was, really tragic. And so, like you said, even if it's not the same, it's still, the feelings are the same as far as those struggles and those challenges as family units go through. And then we also do events for the families as a whole. So we have like a big resource fair coming up where we have local resources that can benefit our families in addition to us. But we also have the Eagle Fire Department's coming out. Boise SWAT comes out, lets them feel like a hero for a day, sit in the Bearcat. And what's amazing about our events is a lot of our kids have never been able to get in the fire truck. You know, you show up at a public event and the public is really pushing forward and the kids in the wheelchairs are kind of in the back. And the fire department will take the kids out of the wheelchairs and put them up in the seats and let them feel like they're driving it. Same with the Boise SWAT team. They'll let them get in the Bearcat, feel all around, take pictures with them. It's just a really fun experience. A lot of our kids have never met Santa. They can't go to the mall during cold and flu season and risk that illness. So they can't go wait in long lines at the mall to meet a Santa that's not equipped to make them feel comfortable. And so we have a Santa that is actually a grandparent of one of our kids. So Santa and the missus come, and a lot of our kids, like I said, had never met him, but now they've sat on his lap and have got to see him, and they have family pictures with Santa. So all of our family events aim to create a special time for the families. So those are exciting. And then we also do events for just the parents. We just did our mother's event for Mother's Day, where the moms all receive facials and they were able to be pampered and loved on by us. They just showed up and we took care of them. That's one thing I love about our organization is when people show up, they know they're going to be taken care of. There's always going to be food. There's always going to be welcoming smiles and open arms to greet them. And then we did identify a couple of years ago, like I had mentioned, the glass children, the siblings, where
I was going to say, what do you do for that section of the family?
So we have events just for the siblings where they can get together with other siblings of medically fragile children and come together. We've partnered with the YMCA on that, and they do such an amazing job with our kids, just giving them that time that lets them feel special. They don't understand, kids often don't understand that therapies and doctor's appointments and all of that aren't fun or necessary. They just see it's attention or it's time away. And so this is their time to feel special.
Gosh, man, there's just so much there. So external events, right? So either supports or holiday things. As far as the real nuts and bolts of the home, like what are you guys capable of doing? Like, do you like pull weeds in the winter, or excuse me, in the summer, or like mow lawns, or what is there anything to help? Because one thing that I've always realized is like whenever I go through intense times, it's just like I wear it in my front yard.
Right.
Because like you got weeds. And, we've all been there where it's like, I don't care. I don't care about the dandelions.
Right.
Because you're smoked. And I'm not saying I'm very proud of that. Like, I'm not happy that that's what happens. But again, that's one of those things. So it's like I'm dealing with this thing, and then I get reminded as I pull up to my house, it's like there are just a dozen things that are problems that I can't address.
Right. Yeah. So for instance, our families get to pick from a primary service. So they get to pick what service best serves their family for that year. And then they can change it the following year if that wasn't something that served them. But for instance, lawn care, they show up weekly and they do all of that. They turn the sprinklers on, they blow them out, they take care of weeds, they make it so that the families don't have to worry about any of it. They're all local service providers, and we've partnered with them. So they give us a pretty heavy discount, and then they, it's a donation and good for their company as well. But we don't use volunteers for that for a specific reason. We want it to be consistent and professional service to the families so that it's completely off their plate.
I was going to say that you're going to get some people that are really dynamite, really clean with the lines. And you're going to get somebody else who leaves like half a bag of grass clippings on the driveway. And you're like, well, that's not helping.
Or volunteers are amazing, but they want to visit with the families. Yeah, and then the families,
oh my God, talk to me.
Tell me about it. Everyone's version of clean is different. So we have a cleaning company that comes in, and it's just a service so that they don't feel they have to engage necessarily. In fact, the service providers prefer them not to be home and can just do their work and leave. Yeah.
Yeah, I could imagine like somebody comes over to clean the house and you're dealing in like it's like, she's been here for 8 hours.
Right.
We can't get her to leave. She wants to stay for dinner. She wants to make us meatballs right now.
Right. Exactly. Right. Which we love our volunteers. We just utilize them differently.
Of course.
And also though, logistically, as far as license bonding and insuring every volunteer in the home and dispatching that would be just a whole layer that we're not equipped to deal with.
Right.
So
and
use professionals.
Not throwing shade on anybody that like wants to go help like 100%, but at scale. And again, if you're an organization, it's like, listen, we cannot rely on the variability of just random people. And like you know what you went through.
Right.
But some volunteers will not know that. And they're like,
Right.
oh, like, great. Like people, like I like helping people. So I'm doing this and like, I want to come help. It's like,
Right.
you need to just leave these people alone.
Yeah, we just need professionals, which I think is what makes our organization unique too, is when people support us, they support local families, but also local businesses. It's a full circle of local support. It all stays right here in the community.
How many families do you work with on an annual basis?
We have over 200 on monthly services as part of our programs.
Holy cow.
Yeah, the need is great and it's growing. We have a wait list for the in-home services. When families come on, they're all welcome to our events and our support groups and everything. But those in-home services are the most expensive. So there is a wait list for those right now just because we're growing so quickly. I mean, from 2017 to now, we have 210 families, I think. So
that's a lot of people. There's a lot of need for this.
Yes.
And what it sounds like you're saying is there is no barrier to entry for people joining the broader community and the broader community events. So it's not like it costs them anything to get like the in-home service. You're just saying you physically don't have the funding or the capacity to offer that. But you're with 200 people right now with like the in-home care.
Right. And that's families. So when you look at it's not just impacting the affected child, but it's their whole family that receives the support. It's almost 900 community members a month that count on our support to show up.
Gosh, that's a lot.
It is a lot. Well, and I do a lot of advocacy. We haven't touched on that really. I sit on, I think, 5 different committees at the Children's Hospital. I'm on local, national, and regional coalitions to bring forward all sorts of things that impact these families. Everything from pediatric palliative care. That didn't exist in the Valley until we developed as an organization. And that was one of the first objectives I had in advocacy was to ensure that program was started. So I actually went to the Children's Hospital and just explained to them, this was my experience and this is what was lacking. And they welcomed me in and said, come help us do this. And so I was able to be there from needs assessment meeting to interviewing the team that they hired. And so just seeing those changes, we've seen changes at the State House with our families' testimonies and stories that we submit. And, I also saw on the National Pediatric Respite Homes of America. We want to build pediatric respite homes in every state because that's something that doesn't exist. There is no respite or break for these families, which is where our organization comes in.
What is the nature of a respite home?
A respite home is where if a family has a trip they would like to go on or they just need a break, it's an in-home environment. So it's similar to maybe like a Ronald McDonald type setup, but they have medical providers there that can take care of the kids while the family goes maybe on a trip that the medically fragile child can't go on, or they just need a break. Right now, like with my son, when he was having respiratory issues and it was 24/7, he needed breathing treatments every hour to 2 hours. They just said, check him into the hospital. And that's not an ideal environment because a lot of times our kids go in with one thing and they come out with another virus.
You're going to pick up a lot of other problems along the way.
So a respite home just would give the families that break to either do something. So my son couldn't fly after the first year. He just absolutely hated it, but it would have been amazing if we could take his brother and do something. We just didn't have that ability. So those respite homes are for that, but also end of life care too. Maybe you don't want your child to pass in your home, but you also don't want them to pass at the hospital. It's somewhere that's a home-like environment and more comfortable for them. Yeah, I was going to say I'm also on the National Funeral Foundation helping. I helped write a book, How to Plan a Child's Funeral, just because that's a whole industry that's geared towards one demographic and they need to do better. And so I approached them with that and they said, well, the providers aren't that interested. And I said, then let's empower the families. And so we wrote a book on how families can make a service their own, a celebration of life. And we also did a video for them. Yeah, I know. I was like, there's heavy stuff, but we support all aspects of this journey.
Yeah, but like I've never been a woman. I never will be a woman. I will never be a mother. I'm a father, obviously, and we had Mother's Day yesterday. And a very dear friend of mine put out a commentary about her mom, and that it was a post honoring her mom, obviously, but also talked about how they lost her dad when she was very young. She was like 3 or 4, and her mom was left with like 14 acres, a cow that perpetually got out, and like some other stuff in like the middle of Oregon. Right. And her mom, really had to figure out how to make it all work with my friend and her siblings. And it was just such a reminder. I didn't see it because I stay off my phone on Mother's Day, but I didn't see it until this morning. And it's just such a reminder of like, God, life is so hard. Like it is so hard. And in the best case scenario, you have, a partner with you where you're grinding through things. And then in the worst case scenario, you're like losing children, or the loss of a children also destroys your pair bonding and like all of these things. It's just so, it is hard. It is heavy, but it doesn't mean it's not reality for people. Like,
right.
This is really, really hard. And then you also have people that just end up being incredibly cynical and hurt, like they get hurt by these things, and
right.
the world has hurt them, and now they want to hurt the world.
They're angry. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have things for couples that are going through this to try to help them, stay together?
We're working on that. We're constantly growing our programs. We do have in-office therapy. So that's been a new addition in the last year that has really helped a lot. And a lot of it is, again, uplifting that whole family so that they feel supported. Really does help the couple feel that they're not alone in this, which is a big part of that.
Yeah, man, that's so tough.
Yeah. Yeah. We do an event for just our dads too. During Father's Day, we take them axe throwing and get them beer and desserts. One of my favorite stories is we had a dad that we just let them order whatever they want. And he was like, can I get a dessert? And our volunteer was like, yeah, get a dessert. And he's like, okay. And then the volunteer said, you should get 2. And he was just like, I've never ordered dessert at a restaurant. I mean, he was just so happy to have something that was just for him and feel special too.
I can't get behind the axe throwing.
Yeah, can't get behind it.
There's something about this commercially perpetuated, like, I'm a man.
Right?
I'm gonna throw an axe and like slam a beer. It's like I got a blade flying through the air and I'm gonna hit the tar. It's like I can't. Like it's not my. Like I think it's wonderful.
Listen,
I'm sure you had a great time. I'm sure they all were very appreciative.
It's
like
just
I'm down for the banana split
together. Yeah, exactly. Well, in fact, they don't end up throwing that much. It's more that.
Yeah.
But how do you get men to show up in a social environment? Like
you have to have an engagement.
You have to have something. And so we've tried. Let's do fishing, rafting, golf, and too many are like, I don't like that thing. I don't like that.
Yeah,
so then we were trying to find something neutral enough, and bowling wasn't it.
Dude, listen, I get it.
It's the social activity.
I get it. Because by the way,
though,
if you were like, hey, Matt, you should go golfing. I'm like, I'm not a golfer.
See, that's what I mean. But if
it's like, let's go rafting. And the golfer's like, I'm not getting in the
exactly.
water. And it's like fishing. It's like, who wants to be bored? And there's some dude in the back who's like, I'm not doing it. Like,
well, and the rafting was funny. It was one of the dads was like, I would be trapped for 4 hours. I'm not doing that. Like, I can't get off the boat, kind of an idea. Right. So we needed something where if they really needed to,
and the axe throwing is like sufficiently funny and like engaging and like
very dad. Yeah.
No,
it's funny. As an Idaho girl, it's funny. Like born and raised Idaho girl. So I'm like,
but is there like a lot of axe throwing in Idaho?
Yeah, no, I mean, if we do, it's up on land that, in the mountain. It's not, it's not like a sport.
You know what I'm doing soon? I'm very excited about this. I'm going to go to Council, Idaho with Jeff Carlson, one of my guests who is phenomenal, because he's from Council, and on 4th of July, they have porcupine races. And I was like, where do you get the porcupines? He's like, you have to hunt the porcupines at night. I'm like, when? It was like in the beginning of June, you go out at night with a flashlight and you like light them and you look at their little beady eyes thing, and then you got to coax them into a trash can, and then you train the porcupine over the next month to like race forward, right?
Like, that is so
I was like,
awesome.
Jeff,
I love
God,
you're
take
doing
me
this.
porcupine hunt. And he's like, I got you.
That's awesome.
Drive to Council.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
I would totally invite you up to, I lived in Garden Valley up until almost 2 years ago. And Crouch has a world-class 4th of July. In fact, it was on Time Magazine's front page, which I would totally suggest you go to, but they stopped doing it last year. So
why did they stop doing it?
Too dangerous.
What were they doing?
Oh,
axe throwing.
It's like, it looks like a war zone in the city where there's just mortars going on. There's no rules. Like you can be firing mortars or whatever you want. And it's just wild carnage of just, look it up. It's amazing.
Anybody ever get hurt?
I'm sure they did.
I'm sure.
I'm sure they did. And the sheriff's department would sit off to the side. In fact, they moved it out of town a few years ago into an arena, a rodeo arena. But I guess they were just concerned about liabilities. And I'm like, darn it.
It's
but
pretty
it's epic.
wild, man.
It is.
That
It was like
sounds
Wild
pretty
West.
Yeah.
Yes.
They tried to, they were going to cancel the fun days in Eagle because people were throwing like frozen water bottles and stuff.
Oh.
Not quite mortars.
Yeah. So are they
days.
doing it or no?
I think they figured out a way to keep it on.
Okay.
Essentially what it sounds like is people get rambunctious, fine.
Sure.
But one of the bigger problems is that the event has attracted so much attention to the outside area that people come from like other areas and cause problems here because they're like, I know it's going to be chaos.
Because the people in Eagle want to have a good family
the people
time.
in Eagle want to have a normal time, and then you have some jerks coming with frozen water bottles because there's this big water bottle fight.
Yeah, no,
or frozen water balloons. So you think you're about to get hit by a water balloon, but it's really like a brick.
Yeah,
like,
dangerous.
Yeah, and people are like, this is not good.
Right,
and I don't know. I mean, people are going to be. It's still on, right?
Oh, good.
They also had problems with They also had problems with insurance because they were doing the fireworks show at Eagle High School, and they were like, "Listen, this place is like surrounded by houses." So the insurance was like jacking up, and then legal counsel was saying like, "Don't do." Anyway, I don't know how we got on this topic.
Well, Debbie Eagle. I was gonna say no, it's okay. I live in Eagle. I was from Eagle before moving up to Garden Valley, so I'm like, I was born and raised in this area and then just moved up there for a few years. So,
you're obviously offering an incredibly unique and important service. How can other people support you if it's not volunteering to clean houses?
Right. Yes.
What can people do to support?
We do need volunteers. So you can sign up for any of it. In fact, you can apply for services on our website. You can sign up to be a volunteer. We need volunteers for in-office support, our family events, and then we also have a lot of fundraising events. So we run just family events with the support group, 60 events a year. So we need a lot of volunteers. And then we do... we also need donations, of course. That's all nonprofits. We don't receive any federal funding. So most of our donations come from small businesses and local individuals, which is pretty unique for the size of our organization. So every little bit helps. Every donation makes a difference. And then we also have events, which you can find on our website too. We have an upcoming golf tournament that's over at Banbury on June 6th. It's almost sold out. As of yesterday, there were 120 golfers so far, so we're almost sold out. And then we have a big sunshine gala in September. We change the theme every year. It's fun. It's ridiculous. We don't take ourselves too seriously. It sounds fancy, but we don't hire anyone to help us with it. It's us and volunteers that run it, so it's a good time. And then we also have a Cookies for a Cause event that we do in August, where the local cookie coalition, they make these beautiful, highly decorated cookies. They donate
the Cookie Coalition.
The Cookie Coalition. I don't know. Have you seen them where they'll do like logo cookies?
Oh, yes, I have.
Right.
Excuse
so
me,
those, or they'll do like princess cookies or just the highly decorated cookies. There's a group of them and they actually work together. It's a really beautiful community. They refer business to each other when they can't take it. And they're an amazing group of people, and they donate hundreds of cookies. I think we're close to 1,000 cookies, and then all the proceeds go to the organization. So
God bless it, man. I love that.
Right.
I just bring value. Even if it's, you can make a really good sugar cookie. Yeah. You can make it look real neat. Man, I botched a cake yesterday. I was really like, I
Mother's Day?
I know. I tried to get, yes. And I tried to get into my dessert. So I was like, I normally use just like a 4-stack cake. And like, I'm big into the smaller layers and then multiples. But instead, I ended up just doing like a 2-layer, but we doubled the recipe in like 8x8 squares.
Oh, so it took forever
it was
to cook?
like, well, it took forever to cook. And they were this big. And then it came out too late and we didn't take it out of the pans. And then it was like, so look, I'm not going to be donating cakes anytime soon. It was very delicious. It just wasn't.
Sure. What flavor?
So it was a yellow cake with vanilla frosting.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty tasty.
I bet she loved it.
I hope so.
You hope so?
I'll tell you what, it actually did taste really, really good.
Yeah.
It just wasn't quite cooled enough.
Right.
So after a little while, the frosting did run a little bit, and then the layers didn't stay together because the frosting wasn't gluing them down. So then it fell apart.
So it's made with love.
It was a lot of love.
A lot of love.
A lot of love. Not a lot of pre-planning,
Right.
but a lot of love.
A lot of love.
Yeah, like we had a good day.
That's
It was
good.
fine.
That's really good.
Megan, I really appreciate you.
Yeah,
I really
thank you.
appreciate what you're doing for the community. There are a lot of nonprofits, and there are a lot of ways that people can help. And I think the thing that I really like about your experience is like, look, you have a certain skill set that comes from a certain life experience, right? You have an understanding, right? And you have an understanding of how to care and where to care. And just offering that to people is beautiful. And then giving other people an avenue where it's like, I'd like to know how to help, but I don't know how. Well, we've organized it. And we can tell you exactly, like, select from any of these options, time, treasure, talent, whatever it might be.
Right.
And you can do something really great. And you've done that.
Yeah.
And what an incredible need that you're filling.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we, like I said, all volunteers. We have a sweet volunteer that takes birthday cards and makes sure those go out every month, right on time for the kid's birthday. So, I mean, it's any kind of time, talent, treasure, really does help.
I started making my kids make their own cards.
Mm-hmm.
So we took like construction paper and stuff with like paste and everything. And my middle son started writing www.imadethiscardmyself.com. You should, like, that would be great to get kids making birthday cards.
So we actually have
awesome.
cards that you can pick up at our office that are colorable. So we have volunteers color the cards so that the families and the children know people in their community care about them. So every card is colored by someone in the community. So we have those in front of our office at all times. People can stop by, pick up a pack of cards. It's a great school project. We have a therapist that picks them up and has people do it while they're getting therapy. It's really good. Church groups. I mean, anyone can grab the cards and color them, but
you guys already had. I thought I had a cool idea. You were like,
I love it. I was like, well, we kind of do have that, and then
kind of late to the boat, Matt.
No, it's okay. We actually had a volunteer recently though do something new, which she used puff paint on there and added texture, which I thought was really neat. And so it's individualized. Anyone can be creative with it.
Well, I was doing mine out of layering construction paper.
That's fun.
So it was like I did a big wavy green stem and then had like a big yellow circle. And then I actually had to cut out petals. And then if you layer them correctly, so you do the stem first, then the petals, and then you put the big thing over. So each of the boys had these cards with like
cool.
three big flowers on them.
That's awesome.
As cool as yours, but whatever.
No, I was going to say, I just don't know how many volunteers. We need over 200 of them. So I don't know how many of those would get made.
You'd have to do, you know what you do? You do them like assembly line style.
Right.
So like you cut out like 10 petals at once.
Exactly.
You cut out 10 stems at once, and then it's just like, without that
big
noise.
Party.
Yeah.
A card party.
Yeah, right. Anyway, Megan, I appreciate you. Where can people find you?
Our website, raiseforrare.org.
Raiseforrare.org. Awesome.
And we're on all the socials. So everything from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we're on all of it.
God bless it. Yeah. Let's keep the conversation going. I'd like to keep hearing about the things you guys are offering and help you promote your events so that the community can get tapped into it more.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in. We'll do it again.